Sharkie Gamer here. So today we're going to take a look at the Fanatec HeadShot Controller for PC. So this pack basically includes the Fanatec HeadShot mouse, which is a 4000 DPI laser sensor gaming mouse, and then you get the Fanatec aURa mouse mat, which has a built-in mouse bungee as well as a USB 2.0 hub. All of this forms the Fanatec HeadShot Controller. Now this all comes in this plastic clear case you can see in front of me, which Fanatec call their weapon suit case. So firstly, let's take a look at this packaging. So as you can see, it comes in this really clear hard plastic case. It looks pretty cool. So you got some packaging artwork there, skull on fire, and just in here it says 4000 DPI laser sensor, keyboard and mouse macros, joystick emulation. In the center here it says complete LAN kit, mouse pad, weapon suit case, cable holder, USB 2.0 hub. And of course over here you can see the mouse just there. Going down you can see what it looks like when it's all assembled. You got the mouse pad, and of course that mouse bungee holding the cable of the mouse as well. Just here it says size adjustable mouse. And over the other side here it says adjustable illumination. And of course there you got the Fanatec HeadShot Controller. And it just says German engineering just there. Germaneering. And the Fanatec is actually into the plastic, if you can see that. I know, the packaging just looks really cool how they've done this suitcase. So that's the front. Of course the sides are just your clear sides, you can see into it. Turning over to the back, it shows you a bit of the mouse there, and it's also suitable for left-handers. And just here it says makes your keyboard programmable. And of course here it's got your main features, which we'll have a quick look at these ones just here. Latest greatest high grade precision laser sensor, up to 4000 DPI resolution, switchable during gameplay. Ergonomic size adjustable to fit any hand comfortably. 6-button plus 5-way scroll wheel, plasma glide mouse feet, non-slip high injection mold TPR rubber grip. And then jumping down, that's for the Fanatec HeadShot mouse. Jumping down to the Fanatec Emulation software, Joystick Emulation compatible with all racing games, flight simulations, etc. Universal programming of all mouse and all standard keyboard keys, macros executed with correct timing, allows for purchase scripts, grenade throw, communication, looping events, etc. Double assignment of all keyboard keys with long click or double click recording of mouse movements. On the fly programmable during gameplay, automatic creation of profiles for all software applications, auto switching between profiles depending on active program, advanced German gameware. And then just down here and it says Fanatec aURa mouse pad, illumination cable arch and mouse are separately adjustable, multicolor, brightness and pulsing frequency. Advanced gliding technology through the combination of low friction plasma glide mouse feet and aURa mouse pad. High speed USB 2.0 hub. So that's all the main features of it, and like I said, it's all in this really good quality plastic case here. It looks pretty cool. It's got a handle up the top here. Just the packaging is really well presented. This would have been pretty expensive to probably produce everything, not just in a cardboard box, in an actual plastic case. So it shows they did take a little bit of thought to make it try to look a little bit cool. And with this case alone, they've also made it so that you can actually take it to a LAN party as well. The idea is that it's easy to carry to a LAN party. You can just put your mouse pad and mouse all in one case. It'll protect it and carry it over to a LAN party. So now that we've looked at the packaging, let's have a look at the actual contents by opening this up. Now to open up this case, up the top here, you've got two plastic clips, and you've basically actually got to pull these out like that. So that's what they look like. Again, second one. So once you've pulled those out, you can then open the case just like a normal suitcase. And this is the contents. This is what it looks like when you first open it. Now first up you get the manual and the CD drivers here. Well, it's not really a manual, I guess it's a quick guide as they say here. It kind of just points out the main things, and over the back here it points out how you initially set it up and plug it in and everything. So it's just mainly a starter guide to get you started. And in here you've got basically the driver disc that has the Fanatec Emulation software, which basically allows you to customize the lighting of it, add macros to your keyboard, change your macros on the mouse, change your sensitivity, all that type of thing. So that's all in this. And this software is only compatible with Windows XP, so you know, if you get this, it won't work with Windows 7. The software, if you try and install on Windows 7, it just gives you an error. So you have to have Windows XP to use that software. Now, the next thing you get here, you get a bag. It's got the Fanatec logo, and it just says goodie bag, Fanatec HeadShot, and it's pretty plain. It's got these little ties at the top here. And inside here is basically your essentials that you need to get up and running. So, first off, you got the USB cable, and this is what plugs into the back of the mouse pad and into your PC, and it connects basically that it powers the mouse mat, so you can use the hub and you can also use the lighting of the pad itself. Next out here you've got the power cable, and you can see this one's American because I bought this from the US, but this is a power cable, so the hub can actually be powered. You don't actually have to use this AC adapter to use the lighting on the mouse mat, but if you want to use the hub as a powered hub, then you need to connect the power cable. Otherwise you can leave it off if you don't really want a powered hub. There's no really absolute requirement for the power adapter, but it is there in case you need it. Next up, in this little bag, you've got these little bits here, which I'll get in a second. That's actually to connect your actual mouse bungee to the mouse mat, which I'll get more into a second. And you get spare, what they call is plasma glide mouse feet, so you can put these on the mouse so it glides more smoothly across the surface. So you get those as well, and I'll get back into those little plastic bits in a second when I set it up. So you get those things first up. Then of course, going into your mouse here, let's pull this out. Okay, so this is the mouse itself. So it's a very kind of unusual shaped mouse, and this is just so it's ergonomic and fits your hand. So they've designed it so it fits more nicely in your hand like this. The cable itself, as you can see, it's one of those kind of you're probably only used to seeing these on those kind of old-fashioned kind of phones that have or the phones with the really long cables. You don't really see these kind of curled cables that often anymore. And of course you've got a USB at the end, and the reason this is so short is because they've actually designed it so that you don't plug this into the back of your computer, you actually plug it into the back of the mouse pad. So there's a reason they actually designed it so short, and I'll get more into that in a second. But they've designed it like this, with this type of spiral, because this can stretch really easy and then it snaps back into place. That's why they used this particular design. It's not very pleasing to the eye really. If you look at this mouse, it doesn't make it really look very cool, especially this type of USB cable. These ones, it would have been like a clear kind of color, but now it's gone yellow, as you can see with age. So it doesn't look too pleasing, even if it's clear like that. With those kind of thing, it doesn't look like the most pleasing kind of look to it, I have to admit. Yeah, it doesn't look that pleasing. But going into the mouse itself, first up, you've got a plastic up here where you've got these little surface here, which add more grip to it when your hand's on it. You've of course got your left and right click. And then compared to some mice, it really, when you click down, it really clicks. This, it feels a bit muted almost, and it doesn't feel like you can click as fast. On the sides here, they're like a type of rubber, so it gives you more grip when you're actually holding it, because your thumb fits perfectly there, and the other fingers fit perfectly on that kind of finger rest just there, and that way nothing is touching it when you're actually gliding on the surface. So the whole idea is that you glide along and it doesn't have to touch itself. Now the other buttons on this mouse, of course, you've got actually a button here and here. And they click down quite nicely. You've got the scroll wheel, which also clicks down. You've got the plus and minus here, which that is usually basically to adjust your sensitivity. So your maximum sensitivity on this mouse is 4000 DPI, which is still not bad in a gaming mouse. Some of the older gaming mouse had like 2000, so being this one 4000, it's pretty good. And this way you can adjust it on the fly when you're in a game or something else. Now this mouse has one more feature on it. If you look underneath here, other than the mouse feet, these are those plasma glide mouse feet you saw before. Got the sensor in the center, but you notice there's two huge screws here. These screws are there for a reason. These screws allow this mouse to be adjustable. All you need is basically one of those kind of flat screwdrivers, and what you do, you undo these screws so they're a bit loose. Doesn't take much, a couple of turns usually. And now you can actually pull the side of the mouse out. So you can pull that out. That's what it looks from the top. So you can actually pull that out a bit to make the mouse bigger. And when you've got the size you want, you tighten these screws. You tighten those screws and then you've got a bigger sized mouse. You can see it's quite considerably bigger than what it was before. So if you've got a bigger hand and you want a wider grip, you just undo that and actually adjust it so that you can actually have a larger sized mouse. So it's quite cool how it does that. And of course, to do it back again, you just do the same process. You just loosen these slightly. They only need maybe 1 or 2 turns. Clip it back into place and tighten these screws again. So it's that simple, and all you need is just a screwdriver, a couple of turns, and you're set, and it'll be fine. And this, of course, you can adjust it if you have a small or larger hand, and you can adjust it to the perfect size that you like it. So whatever size, so it fits your hand quite nicely. So that's one really good thing about this mouse. It's very adjustable, and it's got a nice grip on it as well. And I have to admit, using this mouse, it is very comfortable. Like, it completely lifts your hand off of the surface, and when you glide, it feels like you are just gliding with the mouse. So it really glides nicely. You can see how smooth that is. Glides effortlessly across this pad, so it does have a very nice smooth action. And I'll get more into that in a moment when we set up the mouse mat, because that is next. So here we have the actual mouse mat, the aURa Mousepad or mouse mat. So it's quite a large size mouse mat. As you can see, it's a solid mouse mat, hard plastic, got a really nice smooth soft surface, but you can see it's marked a little bit from age and discolorment. This hasn't really been used, it's been in the box, but it gets marked after a little while. Up the top there you've got the Fanatec logo, and as you can see it says 1, 2 and 3, and those are just representing on the back here. You've got 1, 2 and 3 USBs. You've got the connection for the actual power plug in case you want these USBs to be powered, and then you've got the USB connection there where you actually plug the cable to power this mouse mat, as well as of course the USBs. On the bottom of it, it's pretty plain. You can see it's got that kind of plastic finish. It's got these little feet here, so it actually has some grip. You can see there, it's got a bit of grip. At the top there it just says Fanatec aURa, and of course it's got the model and everything else. But this mouse mat definitely won't easily slide. It's got all those rubber feet, so it's pretty solid. Now there's also one other thing in this box. If you look at the top here, this looks like an arch just here. If I just pull this piece of tape off, so this is an arch, and I'll show this in a second. I'll just pull this packaging out the way so we don't have to worry about that anymore. Okay, so there's a couple different options. So first off, you can have the mouse mat like this on a surface, and you can see it doesn't really move very easily. It's a pretty solid pad with that thing. It does feel a bit light, so sometimes it can feel like it's a bit uneven, as you can see. And that's because the plastic can sort of take a shape and it's been in the box for a while. But otherwise, it does not move very easily. It takes a little bit to move it. So you have two options. You can use the mouse mat just like this. You can plug it in, so you have those USBs in the back of it. Or you can add different things to it. First you can add is this bar, or the arch as they call it. It's basically a mouse bungee. It's essentially a mouse bungee. And how you actually install this, these little caps here at the ends here. You just pull these out. So 2 little caps, just pull those out. And remember those plastic screws that I showed before? These little ones. You use these to connect this mouse bungee arch to the actual mouse mat. So how you do it is in the things, there's actually little grips, and you actually tighten these. So you actually align it so that the wider bit there is to the actual thing, and you grip it into place there like that. And you do the same with the other side. Like that. And now you can actually clip these into place like this and set it up. So bear with me for a sec. Clip them into place. Now normally if you're going to use this, you would just take a screwdriver and just turn those just once, and that just loops it and tightens it so this doesn't come off easily. But for the purpose of this video, I'm just going to leave it clipped in like that, because you can get the general idea of it. So that's what it looks like with that arch. So it creates a mouse bungee. Now, first off, when you look at this, you think this looks pretty high, and this thing is pretty high. Like if I put this in front of my monitor, this thing comes up over to where it's actually in front of the screen. So it's actually obscuring probably the screen about that much. So, and that's on like a 23.6 inch monitor. So it's obscuring the screen by that much. So you can tell that it's going to be high. On most setups, you probably find this is going to be somewhat obscuring the screen. So it is a bit too high. When they designed this, I don't know what they were really thinking about the height of it, but it is a really high mouse bungee. Now the idea of course, when you set this up, is you take the mouse. There's a little connection in the center there. You can see it looks like a little plastic. You slide that into there so it actually locks into place. It actually locks in there. Alright, that way the mouse is not going to easily pull out of that bungee. You take that cable and you plug it in to one of these USB ports in the back. I usually use port 1 because it's the closest, so it's plugged in like that. Then of course you would take your normal cable, this cable here, and you would plug that into the back of the pad in that little USB section just there for that mini USB connection. So you plug that in there, and of course, like I mentioned before, if you want the powered USB hub, then of course plug your AC power adapter in there. So the idea of course is once you've got this all set up like this, you then connect this cable to the computer. So this is what it looks like when it's actually set up. So it's very large. It's a large thing. It's not very small at all. It looks kind of a bit unusual. The mouse looks unusual, the pad looks unusual, and that arch and this kind of curly cable, it looks weird. I don't know, it looks really strange. Now, the mouse itself, once you've got it set up, you can tell that cable stretches out really nicely to accommodate the whole pad, so you can move this all over the pad without having a problem. When you go too far up, the cable gets a bit caught, but pretty much everywhere else you don't get caught, and this is a pretty large mouse mat. So it should have plenty of surface to do this. And you can see it just effortlessly glides across the surface. So those mouse feet are definitely doing what they're meant to do, and it's gliding across here. And of course, as this mouse bungee is meant to do, it's meant to keep the cable out of the way. And this is why they did this curl cable, so you can actually stretch it out of the way and it snaps back in when you're close to the center. And that's why they also designed it to have a short cable, so instead of plugging into the back computer, you plug it into the mouse mat itself. Now, of course, the next best thing about this is it has lighting effects. So, we'll go into the lighting effects now. And of course, with the lighting, you do need to use the software, so you do have to have that software plugged in. Now, the software only works with Windows XP. I have tried to plug this into Windows 7. It will detect and it will light up, but you can't change anything without the software. And Windows 7 gives an error when you try to install that software. So it's not compatible with Windows 7, only compatible with Windows XP. You can use the mouse on its own with Windows 7, but you can't customize any of the colors or any of the extra features. Okay, so let's plug this in. So I'm actually just plugging this in to a Windows XP computer, which is my old laptop here. I've got it set up with the software ready. So once it's set up like this, you can see by default at the moment it's set onto blue, and of course everything sort of lights up. I might just turn the light off here so you can see it a little bit better. So that's what it looks like when it's all lit up. Let's cable out the way. So that's what it looks like. You go into it a little bit closer, you can see the logo up the top there is lit up. This whole bar, the light kind of shines through it. The light's coming from either end just there. And of course the mouse itself is lighting up in the center there, as well as the edge. And of course in a very dark room it's going to look a lot better than it does at the moment, because I do have a few lights on at the moment. But overall it still looks pretty cool like that. Anyway, I'll turn the light back on now. Now the software does a couple of different things. You can of course program different functions. The software also allows you to program standard keyboards to have macros when they don't normally have macros. So the software allows you to do a lot of different things. Now the main thing the software does do is it also allows you to change the coloring of this, the colors on both the mouse as well as the mouse mat. So I'm just going to open up the software that this mouse is connected to at the moment, so I can actually show you the different color schemes. Okay, so firstly the mouse itself. So at the moment it's set to blue. If I just untick blue and go to red, you can see instantly it's changed to red. Now if I untick red and we'll go to green, it's on green now. I might just turn this light off. Okay, that's green. That's red. Now if you combine, if I combine red and blue, I get purple. If I combine red and green, I get sort of a very yellowy green type of thing. It's not quite yellow, it's like a yellow-green mixture. And if I put green and blue together, I get a very light blue. So it's very customizable, and of course with that kind of setting I can either have it on just standard like this. I can adjust the brightness, I can adjust the pulsation, so it pulses like it is at the moment, or just I can set it to the standard brightness. And the same goes for this thing here. If I change it to the Mousepad mode, I can then, at the moment it's set on blue. If I turn red on that side, you can have independent sides as well. So I'm currently adjusting the left hand side. So if I adjust the right hand side to match, I can turn the right side red as well. But otherwise I can turn the right side green if I want. Or I can go back to the left and turn it a different color. If I'm mixing blue and red, I've turned it purple. Or put in green, it goes to a pink or a light blue. So you can completely mix up these colors to whatever you like. Green and green. So the light is very customizable. So you can customize, and of course the same thing with these, you can pulse it like that. That's pulsing. You can turn that off. So the lighting is very customizable. You can do a lot of different lighting options on both the mouse as well as the mouse mat. And of course you can adjust on the mouse itself. You can adjust the sensitivity of the mouse. You can adjust on the fly using the plus and minus as well. You can program the different buttons on the mouse itself. You can make profiles and stuff like that. Click speed, all that type of thing you can adjust. So you can adjust quite a few different things. And then the software does also have joystick emulation, which basically is just what it says it is. It just emulates a joystick control, so your left, right, up, down sort of functions. Nothing really, it's just an emulation, but it can do it if you want to do that. The performance. So now that you know all the features, it works with Windows XP, it's got cool lighting, got the USB hub, it's a 4000 DPI mouse. How does it actually perform? Well, I was pleasantly surprised when I actually tried this out. the mouse itself actually moves really smoothly. Like on a computer, when you have it at the maximum DPI, it just goes all over. It's really sensitive, really smooth and moving. Even if you drop it down, I dropped it down to about 2000 to see how it performed, and again, it was just as smooth. It performed really nicely. Really, you could move it all over the screen really easily. The only thing I particularly don't like about this mouse is the way it clicks. So earlier when I was showing you how it actually clicked, when it right clicks or left clicks, it doesn't click as much as it needs to. Like, I just feel like it could click a little bit more. Like, it feels like it doesn't click as fast as it should do, like it's a bit muted. So I think the way they designed the clicks, they didn't design it like most of the modern mice you see now, where you can really press them and they click, 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 click. When this mouse was released, a lot of the Logitech mice were one of the few mice that actually did that. When they really click, click, you could really just click them and click them and click them, and it would do really rapidly. With this mouse, I'm a little bit let down of how it actually clicks. It still performs okay, but the clicks could have been improved. The other buttons are fine though, easy to reach, scroll wheel performs nicely, and the mouse itself is actually very comfortable. It's a very ergonomic mouse. You glide all over the place really easily. The only thing I find, like, it's very easy to actually put on the mouse and you're not really touching anything, except I sometimes find the palm drags a little bit at the end here. Other than that though, it's pretty much like you're floating on the mouse, because you're going across the pad. Another thing I don't like in terms of the look of it, like I mentioned before, is this cable and the way this bar obscures like a little bit of your monitor. It's not very pleasing to look at. Like overall, it's a cool kind of idea, and what they were going for was pretty cool, but in terms of the way it looks and that, it doesn't look a very posh thing. I mean, it performs well, it does the trick, but they could have maybe done it a little bit different. Maybe made a normal mouse cable and designed the bungee a little bit different to incorporate it a different way. I'm sure they could have done it slightly different to improve it, but they went with this way. Maybe they thought it looked cool. I don't know really exactly what they were exactly going for. They were trying to make something that looked cool with lights and everything for gamers, and that was easy in a cool kind of plastic suitcase that you can take to LAN parties. So they were trying to include a lot of different things into this one mouse and mouse pad set, and I mean, they did do that, and it performs very well. It's a great mouse, and it works well with games or just general usage, and the software does add a lot of extra features to it, not just the color, all the macros and everything else as well. The downside, of course, is this is an older mouse now, and of course the software only works with Windows XP. So you can really only benefit this if you have a Windows XP computer. If you have a Windows 7 or Vista or anything later than XP or Windows 8, you can use it. It'll plug and play just like a normal mouse, but you won't be able to adjust anything. You won't be able to adjust the lighting, you won't be able to adjust anything on this at all. So you won't be able to adjust the sensitivity on it, you won't be able to adjust anything. So it'll be a pretty straightforward mouse, plug and play sort of USB mouse that it'll be picking up. Same with the mouse pad, just getting power from the USB, and a standard 2.0 hub. So you can use this on modern computers, but yeah, it's not really recommended since you can't use the software to get all the features out of it. But overall, it is a very cool controller, and this has become pretty collectible actually, because you don't see this very often, especially in that box. When you do see them, they're either really worn out or just be sold on its own without a packaging, so you don't see this very often at all. So it's become a bit of more of a collectible type of thing, and the way it looks makes it a bit unusual. It's more kind of a collectible nowadays. I don't think most people would probably want this in their gaming setup. There's a lot more modern mice that give you 5600 DPI, etc., and higher now sensitivity, which is a lot better for modern gaming. But for the age of this mouse, it performs really well, and it does a really good job. The only gripe, like I said before, is just the look of it. It could have improved the look. But overall, Fanatec did a very good job with this, and I do like how it comes in a plastic case. That would have definitely been ideal for LAN parties. But yeah guys, so that was the Fanatec HeadShot Controller, which includes the Fanatec HeadShot mouse and the Fanatec aURa mouse pad, with that built-in mouse bungee and USB hub. So overall, it's a great product, pretty hard to find these days, and it's just unfortunate it only works with Windows XP. Anyway guys, thanks for watching. I am Sharkie Gamer. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll have heaps more gaming controller and accessory videos up very shortly. If you like this video, hit that like button, really helps out a lot, guys. And as always, feel free to leave a comment down below if you want to, and share this video as that helps spread my video around. Anyway guys, thanks again for watching.